Welcome to this explainer. Today, we're going to completely dismantle everything you thought you knew about goal setting. We're going to reveal how tiny, seemingly insignificant changes can actually compound into truly remarkable results over time. Okay, let's dive right into this.
I want to kick things off with a true story that's honestly kind of mind-blowing. Imagine being part of an organization that has endured over a century of absolute mediocrity. From 1908 to 2003, British professional cyclists had won just a single solitary gold medal at the Olympic Games. And in cycling's biggest race, the Tour de France, 0 victories in 110 years. It was actually so bad that one of the top bike manufacturers in Europe literally refused to sell bikes to the British team. Why? Well, because they were terrified it would hurt their brand if other professionals saw the Brits using their gear. No way, right?
But everything changed in 2003. That's when a man named Dave Brailsford was hired as the new performance director. And here's the thing, he didn't come in with sweeping, massive overhauls. Instead, he brought in this philosophy called the aggregation of marginal gains. Brailsford believed that if you broke down every single thing you could think of that goes into riding a bike and improved it by just 1%, the combined increase would be absolutely huge. They looked for tiny improvements literally everywhere. For instance, they rubbed alcohol on tires for better grip. They wore electrically heated overshorts to maintain ideal muscle temperature. They even hired a surgeon to teach riders the absolute best way to wash their hands so they wouldn't catch a cold. They brought in customized pillows and mattresses for perfect sleep, and even painted the insides of their transport trucks white just to spot tiny bits of dust that could mess up their finely tuned bikes.
Now, the astonishing math behind this 1% rule is what makes it so powerful. Think about it. If you get 1% better every day for 1 year, you don't just get 365% better. Thanks to the magic of compounding, you end up almost 38 times better by the time you're done. And that is exactly what happened to British cycling. Just 5 years after Brailsford took over, they won an astounding 60% of the track cycling gold medals in Beijing. Over a 10-year span, British cyclists captured 5 Tour de France victories. It completely proves that success isn't really about massive action, it's about those marginal gains.
Think of habits as the compound interest of self-improvement. It creates what we call the compounding curve. But, and this is the really frustrating part, look at the very beginning of that curve. Notice how incredibly flat it is? This is exactly why it is so hard to build good habits. Small positive or negative choices just don't seem to make any difference in the present moment. If you eat a salad today, well, you aren't suddenly perfectly fit. And if you eat a pizza, you don't instantly gain 10 pounds.
Let's use a metaphor that really drives this home, the 3.5-degree shift. Picture yourself as an airplane pilot flying from Los Angeles to New York. If you adjust your heading just 3.5 degrees south right at takeoff, the nose of the plane moves just a few feet. It's almost imperceptible, right? But magnified across the entire United States, you'll end up landing in Washington, D.C. instead of New York. So the crucial takeaway here is this. Your outcomes are simply lagging measures of your daily habits. Your bank account, a lagging measure of your financial habits. Your weight, a lagging measure of your eating habits. Basically, you get exactly what you repeat.
Section 1. The Valley of Disappointment. Why progress is delayed.
So, if habits are so powerful, why do our small positive changes feel so incredibly frustrating at first? Let's walk through an analogy that explains this perfectly. Imagine you have an ice cube sitting on the table in front of you. The room is cold, let's say 25 degrees. Ever so slowly, the room begins to heat up. 26, 27, 28. The ice is just sitting there. 29, 30, 31 degrees. Absolutely nothing has happened. Then, you hit 32 degrees. The ice finally begins to melt. A single 1-degree shift, seemingly no different from all the temperature increases before it, unlocked a massive physical change. The energy from 25 to 31 degrees wasn't wasted at all. It was simply being stored for that breakthrough. This phenomenon is known as the plateau of latent potential. See, we always expect progress to be a straight linear line, but actual progress curves slowly, creating this gap, this valley of disappointment where you feel like your weeks of running or saving money are doing literally nothing. Mastery requires immense patience. There's this fantastic quote the San Antonio Spurs have in their locker room. When nothing seems to help, I go and look at a stonecutter hammering away at his rock, perhaps 100 times without as much as a crack showing in it. Yet at the 101st blow, it will split in two. And I know it was not that last blow that did it, but all that had gone before.
Section 2. Systems over goals. Focus on the process.
All right, it's time to challenge the prevailing wisdom that says setting specific, actionable goals is the key to success. Borrowing a brilliant insight from Dilbert creator Scott Adams, let's contrast these two concepts. Goals are about the results you want. Systems are about the processes that lead to those results. Let me ask you a question. If you were a basketball coach and you completely ignored your goal to win a championship, and instead you solely focused on what your team did at practice each and every day, would you still succeed? The answer is absolutely yes. The score takes care of itself. Goals are great for setting a direction, but systems are best for actually making progress. In fact, if we really unpack goal setting, we find 4 massive problems. First up, survivorship bias. Winners and losers have the exact same goals. Every Olympian wants the gold medal, so the goal itself can't be what differentiates success from failure. It's the system. Second, achieving a goal is just a momentary change. If you have a messy room and summon the energy to clean it, well, you have a clean room for today. But if you don't change your sloppy habits, it's going to be a total disaster again next week. Third, goals restrict your happiness by creating an either-or trap. Once I reach my goal, then I'll be happy. And fourth, they are totally at odds with long-term progress. Think of the yo-yo effect, where runners train for months for a marathon, cross the finish line, and immediately stop exercising because the goal was gone. Systems keep you playing the game forever.
Section 3. The 3 layers of change. How to actually change.
So, if we need to change our systems, how do we actually go about doing that? Well, the real problem isn't our desire to change. It's that we try to change the completely wrong thing. Picture behavior change like the layers of an onion. The outermost layer is outcomes, what you get, like losing weight or writing a book. The middle layer is processes, what you do, your daily habits, like actually going to the gym. But the innermost core layer is identity, what you believe. This is your worldview, your self-image, and your deepest judgments about yourself. The thing is, most people build their habits from the outside in. They start with the outcome they want. I want to be skinny. Then they figure out the process. I'll stick to a diet. But they never touch their underlying beliefs. The alternative is the inside-out approach, identity-based habits. Here, you start by focusing heavily on who you wish to become rather than what you want to achieve. True behavior change only really happens at this deepest layer. Let me give you the best, punchiest example of this in action. Imagine 2 people trying to resist a cigarette. The first person is offered a smoke and says, "No thanks, I'm trying to quit." Sounds super reasonable, right? But they still identify as a smoker who is just trying to be something else. Now the second person says, "No thanks, I'm not a smoker." It is a tiny, microscopic shift in phrasing, but it signals a fundamental, massive shift in identity. Smoking was part of their past, not who they are today.
So the absolutely crucial point here is true behavior change is identity change. There's this great story about an entrepreneur named Brian Clark who had chewed his fingernails his entire life. He stopped through sheer willpower for a bit, but then he did something kind of surprising. He asked his wife to schedule him a professional manicure. For the first time, his nails looked great, and the manicurist actually complimented his healthy nails. Suddenly, he was proud of them. He never chewed them again because his identity shifted to someone who takes pride in caring for his nails. The goal isn't to read a book, it's to become a reader. The goal isn't to run a marathon, it's to become a runner.
Section 4. Becoming your habits. How identity forms. Our identity actually emerges right out of our habits. In fact, the word identity comes from Latin words that literally translate to repeated beingness. How cool is that? So here is a highly actionable 2-step framework you can use right now to shape that beingness. Step 1, decide the type of person you want to be. Step 2, prove it to yourself with small wins. Think of it like voting. You don't need a unanimous, flawless vote to change your identity. You just need a majority. Every single time you practice the violin, you are casting a vote that says, "I am a musician." Every time you make your bed, you cast a vote that says, "I am an organized person." Small habits matter so much because they provide undeniable evidence of your new identity. I want to leave you with a final thought to carry into the rest of your day. If your habits are the path to changing your identity, and every action is a vote for the type of person you wish to become, who are you voting for today? Think about your next 1% choice. Is it casting a vote for your old self, or is it building the foundation of your remarkable future? Choose wisely, start small, and let the compounding begin.